Hey guys, how's it going? It is Drake, and today we're taking a really quick look at Fragpunk on PlayStation 5. And that right there is an important caveat that I'll get to in a second. Keep in mind that these are only my initial impressions after about 12 hours with the game, so I've not experienced absolutely everything, but definitely enough to join the conversation. I have been interested in Fragpunk for what seems like forever now. So many games in this genre fail on console specifically, and I was excited to see if Fragpunk, with all of its style and unique mechanics, could beat the odds and finally stick the landing that console players so justly deserve with a new tac shooter available to them. The TLDR is pretty simple for Fragpunk: 5 versus 5 attack and defend hero shooter. Pick a hero, which are called Lancers in this game. They have a set amount of abilities. You pick a weapon, which is based on some form of risk-reward in-game economy that is round by round. First to X number of rounds wins the game. In broad strokes, we've seen it all before, but at its core, Fragpunk adds an entirely new layer to the genre, one that is uniquely its own, and one that can be reproduced without being nothing more than a copycat. At the start of each round, your team votes on cards to put into play. Depending on how well you do in the round determines how many votes you get to put into effect certain cards. Similar to doing well in Valorant or Counter-Strike, where you get more money to spend on weapons. The difference here are cards. These cards are randomly picked and deeply impact and affect the gameplay for both attackers, defenders, and even the map itself, invariably making each round and game different from the last. This gives the game a ton of longevity that I've been since experiencing. I want to pick this game up every single day, and I just didn't expect to have that feeling after my first 3 to 4 hours with the game. But the cards themselves, anything, absolutely anything, from giving the enemy teams big heads so that they're easier to headshot, or increasing your health for the round, or my personal favorites, adding and removing plant sites altogether. There are hundreds of cards on display here, each with potential to change the entire game and the outcome for your team. My theory before playing Fragpunk was that this could add a far more dynamic gameplay loop on top of the already exciting, existing tac shooter formula we're all too familiar with. I think most people at this point would expect me to say that these cards are gimmicky and simply don't work, but hey, nice try. But after hours with this mechanic, it's clear that this card system was always the core to Fragpunk and the experience the developers, Bad Guitar Games, were looking for, and it shows. It's well thought out, and as if they knew that this was what the game was going to be all along. I really respect it. But what I respect even more is Fragpunk's second great mechanic, a mechanic that I hope gets copied and I hope it sticks around for years to come. It's duels. If you've spent any time on Valorant, Siege, or Counter-Strike, you know that feeling when you play a long game that goes into overtime and you lose almost instantly because all of the problems that plagued your team for the last hour and 30 minutes are still present, and no matter how well you or someone else can carry, it isn't enough. Imagine my shock then when I took a game to 3-3, we hit overtime, and the game format completely changes. Suddenly, it's 1 versus 1, winner stays on. That means that if you were carrying the game, you can vote to go first, take out as many other players as possible, and make your team's job so much easier to close out the game. This, in my mind, is Fragpunk's single best feature. There were so many games where I felt like if I just can drag my team to the match tie, I can then carry the game a little bit. Or if there was a player in the game completely popping off, they would vocalize that and say, guys, just get me to that duel, get me to that last round. I will carry this. And there was a good 2 to 3 or 4 experiences where a player or myself was popping off and just having a heater of a game. We would get into the duel section and they would completely close it out. It's one of the best mechanics it features I have seen in a game in years. Valorant found a nice mix of Overwatch and Counter-Strike, a potent mix that had me spend well over 1,000 hours with it from beta all the way to my PC breaking last year. I loved it so much, I was even one of the first players to try and rekindle that love on console when Valorant dropped last year, but it just isn't quite the same. If you've played it on both, I think you know exactly what I mean. That translation from PC to console is missing a very specific game feel, one that just doesn't feel good in my mind. It's why Counter-Strike has failed so many times on console. A game feel, by the way, that Fragpunk is dangerously close to capturing and discovering. It's this weird mix of Valorant and, dare I say it, X-Defiant, which feels like a weird game to throw in there. It's not perfect, and at times it can feel really sluggish, but it's perfect in more ways than one. I think this is one of the best tac shooter experiences you can play on console right now, and I hope it sticks around for a few years.